TikiKiti interview. Today we're talking to Patrick Hanser of the Brazilian grunge-rock group Bacará. Our discussion today will be about his new music video to the song Cores and how he used AI software to develop it. So you're in Buenos Aires right now?
Yeah, I'm in Buenos Aires because I'm actually doing a series down here about Ayrton Senna. I'm not sure if you know him, but he's a Formula One driver, and it's a Netflix series. So yeah, I'm gonna be here for a few months to do the series. Yeah. I've been kind of working with film for about 6 or 7 years now. So I joined a production company here. I mean, not here, but in Brazil, which is called Spray Films. And yeah, they've made a lot of movies and series, and over the years I got to have a lot of good experiences, with film. But I had never done anything with animation, so the music video for Cores was kind of like my first foray into into the animated stuff,
Well, it was excellent. And now that you tell me about your experience in film, it shows in your music video. And I actually, let me just give you a little brief history about who we are, TikiKiti. And we have a rating system. We look for the unofficial and the fan-made video. But the AI video has really changed things around here. We all want to see it be successful. We rate videos based on production quality, editing, and creativity. And as the general manager, it's my job to help everybody who does rating to understand where AI fits into this. And so I have to come up with a system that helps them understand this. And after reading your article in Director's Notes, that's why I wanted to talk to you, is because the most difficult one is editing. Where does editing fit into this? And you mentioned some things that made me think about that. How did you mentioned that you changed things after it was first done. How does that work for you? Where does editing fit into this?
So I feel like seeing the music video, well, first of all, the AI stuff, like, I feel there's a few ways you can look at it, because nowadays there's some softwares that you can like put a video in as an input, and it will spit out like an AI video made based on that video you put in. But I feel like that I tried that method too, and I just feel like you lose a lot of control, because you put the prompts in, but you're not like choosing every frame, and I feel like things are kind of out of your hand. So my method was more, I feel like, crafted, because I had to make an actual video before doing the AI, So I think when you're talking about editing, for me, the editing comes before the animation. It comes in the video phase, because I actually made a video, like a full music video, that was like with normal images. And of course, like, since I knew I was going to do it with AI, a lot of those images were made on my phone and like weird situations. So like if you watch a normal video, it might look weird, but I knew that it would work with AI. But my point is that the editing, I think, has to come before. Like, you have to treat it as a real video or a real film, or whatever you're making, before you go into the AI. Because, for example, if you see the music video for Cores, I feel like the editing, like, things are in sync with the music, I think that's also a big factor in music video editing, how the camera moves, and like when it's moving, and like what the music is doing, and how you can translate that to the images. So all of that was thought out before the animation, So I feel like you can't let go of, you can't just be like, oh, I'm just gonna get some random images and then make them AI and it's gonna be cool. Like it might look cool, but I think what makes a music video stand out is its craft, you know, like which includes editing, which includes the camera angles, like which shots you're choosing, the dynamics of it. You know, I feel like all of that is important, especially if you're gonna do it in AI, because I feel like since so many people now have these tools available, like how can you stand out? You know, I feel like the only way you can actually stand out is if you make something that's actually good. You know, so and that requires craft and technique. Like it's not just getting a video and just translating it to AI. You know, I feel like there has to be a lot of thought behind it.
Did you do any editing after the AI was done? You mentioned
No, I didn't.
okay.
Because
You mentioned where you thought it was going too fast in the article. It was moving too fast, and you did something to slow it down. Is that correct?
yeah, so actually, what I meant by that is that I the fact that it moved too fast was good for me. Like I felt like it was a good thing because the song is very fast. Like it's 145 BPM and it's super energetic and explosive and fast, you know. So I felt like I needed something that was very vibrant and just quick. And so what I did was instead of making it 24 frames per second, I did it at 12 because when you animate the AI from one frame to another, you know, you can try and make it really similar to the previous frame and the next one, but certain things will kind of be wild, you know, and that just gives an effect that just seems like it's moving at a blistering speed, you know, and that's something I wanted. But what you mentioned about editing, like what I would do sometimes is my first cut of the like music video before the I had a lot of shots. Like I would move really quickly through shots because I thought it was gonna be faster. But I realized that when I put in too many shots, it would just become almost incomprehensible. You know, you couldn't even understand the image properly. So what I ended up doing was slowing down the FPS to 12 FPS and having really long shots. I mentioned in the article, like there's only 14 shots in the music video, which is, in my opinion, not that much. You know, of course, there's music videos with
doesn't seem like
one shot or a few shots, but I mean, there's few shots in the music video, but it just seems fast because of the animation. So I felt like using longer shots kind of gave the animation the opportunity to be understood, you know. So, but yeah, like when I made the video, I didn't edit like too much afterwards. Like I knew where all the cuts would be. I knew where all the frames had to be. It was just basically like I had to put down those frames in the right places, you know.
Well, it seems that you did, and you know the other categories we use for rating are production quality and creativity. In your article, you mentioned Kandinsky, and that as being an influence. Is that how you prompted the AI? Is to make it look like Kandinsky?
Yeah. So I feel like with AI, there's a general tendency nowadays to try and do photorealistic things, because I feel like AI is so surprising. Like whenever people start using it, that they tend to try like realistic prompts, you know. So, you know, making like I don't know, like Joe Biden do something, you know,
exactly.
Like these real figures do crazy things. Like I feel like that has been part of the excitement around AI, but I feel like that photorealistic aesthetic is just in my like this is my opinion, but I just think it's kind of boring because I mean we already have like real images and yeah, it's pretty impressive to like create something that looks real, but I just felt like it had more potential, like and that I felt like I could do something that was a bit more timeless, you know, because I think this photorealistic aesthetic is gonna be really like it's gonna have a big timestamp on it, you know, in a few years. Like we're gonna look back and be like, oh, this is like obviously from the first wave of AI and stuff. So And I mean, that's okay too, but I'm not really interested in that stuff. And so, and one kind of design aesthetic that I've always been interested by is like 20th century art, you know. So Picasso, Kandinsky, these more solid based paintings and designs, Solvay's as well. You know, he made a lot of movie openings and posters and stuff, and he has this really like minimalistic, like simple, solid design type. And I just thought that was so interesting, and I was really wondering if I could do something in that aesthetic and which wouldn't look like AI, you know. Like my biggest goal with this video was to make something that did not look like AI, or that could be interpreted as like a more traditional type of animation, you know. So yeah, I've always been in love with art history and these 20th century masters and stuff. And there's also Hilma af Klint, and there's a Brazilian artist, Tarsila do Amaral, which also has a kind of similar aesthetic. So I just kind of delved into these artists to get some references, and then I started prompting with you know their names, like in the style of and kind of what the image needed to be, so that I could get close to the result I wanted. But it took a lot of trial and error. Like in the article with director's notes, I mentioned I did more in total. I did more than 10,000 frames, even though I only needed about 3,000. But I just redid a lot of sequences because I was constantly kind of evolving, you know, and like sometimes I did a sequence in the beginning of the music video, and when I got to the end, I would watch everything, and like the end was so much better, you know, like just because I got better at prompting and I got better at selecting frames. So when I went back, so then I had to go back and kind of redo some things so they would be more uniform and kind of the same level. You know? Yeah, so the total time period was about 6 months, but
Oh, wow.
I calculated it. Yeah, but like it wasn't like 6 months, like every day 8 hours, you know. Like I would do kind of bursts, because what I would do is like I didn't have the complete video ready before I started. I had certain bits, but certain parts had to be filled in with video before I animated. And I only found that some of those videos like months into the production, you know. So, for example, I went to I mean, some images were from last year, like from October. And then, for example, I went to Lollapalooza in April in São Paulo. And I went to Tame Impala show, and I got some images there. The concert images are from a Tame Impala show. So, you know, I shot some stuff in October and some stuff in April. Like the last images I animated were those Tame Impala shows. So it was, you know, it was an extended period of time. And I don't know how many hours I spent, but I would say like if I were working like 8 hours a day, like in one go, I would have probably taken like a whole month to do it, because it does take time. But I feel like as artists in general, I think we always have to ask ourselves, like, first we have to know what's being done in whatever medium or whatever thing we're trying to get good at, you know, and you know, to have references. So the first thing I did was to search for references, and all of the references I found went for that photorealistic aesthetic, you know. So then it was just a matter of looking at it in a way of like, okay, people are using AI in this way, and like I could do it this way. It would probably look okay, like pretty cool. But how can I like actually do something different? You know, like what's not being done? I think that's an interesting question to pose for yourself. And that's kind of like when I had to click, I was like, oh, like I haven't seen anyone do something that was more like classic, you know, that's a bit more timeless in terms of design, with different references. They just weren't using those references. So I think also like one of the reasons the music video works is because like I don't think there was any video kind of in that aesthetic with AI. At least I didn't see it, you know. So I think, you know, asking yourself what's being done and how you can like get off the beaten path is always a good starting point. But I think it goes back to what I said in the beginning. I think regardless of your aesthetic, like the style you're gonna choose, or even if it's not AI, whatever you're gonna do, I think you have to always have this balance kind of between the technique and craft, and also what you're trying to say, and how to say it in an interesting way. Because, for example, the music video for Coris doesn't really have like a story. It doesn't really have a. I don't think it needs to have a story because it's a music video. It's kind of like a performance video, but there's also other like aspects to it. There's the aquarium, there's the show, there's just like a bunch of little details that, like, for me, when I look at it, they're very personal because they're images I shot over 6 months. So for me, it's kind of like a diary, and the song is kind of about that. It's about looking at a new day and being excited for it, and like going out and doing something. So in that way, it's very personal, and I think like as artists, you always have to try and create a personal connection with the audience. So yeah, that's what I would say. Like, try to do something personal, and also try to get off the beaten path of whatever people are doing. Because in the case of AI, like I was impressed like with the photorealistic stuff. I really was for about a month, and after a month of seeing like like those Joe Biden videos or like Obama videos, like saying different things, I was just like, okay, like AI can do this now. So I mean, now it's just, for me, it just got boring. Like I'm not really interested in seeing it. So
that's where we are right now. We're seeing a lot of the same thing, and that's why I wanted to talk to you, because we want people to move on and get more creative. And that's, I think, why we're excited about your videos, because you accomplished that in many ways. And so yeah, so I'm going to be writing an article that'll appear on our website, and I will quote you a lot, and maybe have this what I'm recording here be part of that, as well as creating an interview for our YouTube channel, and so that people can look at this. And I think it'd be really inspiring. We are finding that the best videos we are seeing are the ones that have been pre-recorded with their existing video and edited that way, and then converted in AI. We're seeing that, and they're much more watchable. And so
yeah, because like there's like that software I mentioned. I forget what it's called. I think it's called Next Gen. But there's other like tools. For example, on Stable Diffusion, you can create videos. Which is basically like you have an initial prompt, and then you say like, oh, by frame 800, I want you to get to this prompt, and like put a little zoom with a little circling thing. Like that's just, I mean, it just got boring to me because all those videos are the same. Like, even though the images are kind of impressive, like it just has such an AI like aesthetic to it, and I feel like I feel like you can explore other things because it is a really powerful tool. So yeah, like I feel like, and also I'm not a fan of saying like, oh, because you work so hard, like it should be more considered better. Like I feel like if it's good, it's good. Like even if you spend 10 minutes or like 10 years, if it's good and it touches me somehow, like it doesn't matter how it was done. But what does like not worry me as a creator, yeah, I guess you could say worry, but like for example, the Stable Diffusion thing I said, or the next gen thing, I feel like it's really easy to make because you literally just upload the video and press play, and like of course it takes time to process, and like you have to prompt and stuff. Like I'm not saying prompting is not an art. I do think prompting is an art, and I think it should be considered an art because prompting is hard, like, and it's hard to get the results. But what I'm saying is it is a lot easier if you just upload the video and it spits out this AI version of your video, you know. And in my case, like, again, I'm not trying to like fetishize the amount of work I put into it, but I did do this frame by frame. So, you know, just the fact that I chose each frame already makes it more human. Because if you just leave it on Stable Diffusion or Next Gen or whatever, it's gonna make all the decisions for you based on your prompt. But in my case, if I, you know, put a prompt and spit out a frame and I didn't like it, there's cases where I did 10, 15 versions of one frame to get the result I wanted, you know. So, and that just makes it more crafted, you know. That just that time, that energy you put into it, it just, I feel like it just makes it better. So I feel like you know, AI could be used as a tool kind of for lazy people, of course. But I do feel like if you have like a work ethic and if you have a vision and if you like really put time into it, you really can craft something that is amazing, you know. Like for example, I'm not an illustrator, I'm not an animator. I don't consider myself an animator, but you know, these AI tools kind of made it possible for me to create certain designs that I wouldn't be able to. But you know, it was the time that I put into it, choosing those frames, that I feel like is really the job I did on the music video. You know, it was just, which is the job of the director, choosing stuff. You know. Oh, you choose the wardrobe, you choose the shot, you choose the edit, you're just choosing things. So in this case, you're also just choosing, except instead of a person, you're talking with a computer, you know. But I think that job of choosing, of actually being there, choosing each frame, does make a difference instead of just uploading it and like seeing what comes out.